Most top 1s are several minutes long, yet what would happen if I tried to make a top 1 that's only 1 second long? Well, today, that's what I'm going to be doing, so stick around to see the results. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is actually make the level, and now I'm just going to find a nice quick song to use. Okay, I found the perfect one. The drop of this song called Ghost of Me is just absolutely insane. Have a listen. Okay, I found the perfect time, so it's just 61 seconds. Start off set and listen to this. That's pretty much just going to be the whole level. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to firstly put this at 4 times speed, and then we can use some mini wave. So here we go. Let me just turn off the music. So I'm just going to put a border to see how far we have till it's 1 second long. So okay, there we go. We actually have a lot longer to work up to than I originally thought. That's actually quite a lot of space, to be honest. So let's just make this all firstly completely red, just so I know that this is the end of the level. So now I'm going to be taking a gimmick from a level called Tax Evasion. So let me just do this Tax Evasion setup, and basically what it does is it duplicates the player. Have a look. So that the players, as you can see, look, they're in front of each other and controlled by different sides of the screen, which means that you're going to have to do the whole level twice. Okay, here we go. I've got this here. Let's just paste this in. And I'm sure there's a way we can do this more easily. If I perhaps just move this here. And that's already not working. And I do need to set this, though, to 2-player mode. And then make this a duel to start with. Yes, that's perfect. But I'm going to make it a bit closer to 1, save time, and 2, also just make it the tiniest bit more confusing. Oh, I understand. So it goes down here, so it needs to start this. There we go, that's perfect. So then we have till here. So we can start realistically building gameplay right here. But that has already used up about a quarter of our space, but I do think at least double the difficulty. So now I have to disable both the player's controls and also unlink dual gravity like this. There we go. And then I can make the option here to turn off the disable players. So I'll put this right here. And then, even more confusingly, right here, I could put an upside down portal so that one of them is always upside down. So that means that you'll have to do the complete opposite input at different times, but only microscopically different times. So that'll be pretty evil if I do say so myself. Anyway, let's just craft a devilish gap here. That is evil. So you can already see there, player's not going to take kindly to that. And also, just for playtesting purposes, let's just put a block there. And we can still phase through it, which is so helpful. Thank you, RobTop, for doing this. I'm just going to fix this slope bug by putting this here. There we go, that fixes it. Now I'm going to try and be organized with this. So all the gameplay is going to go on layer 1 as well as the triggers. And then I'm actually going to use different layers for deco. So now let's just make some high CPS stuff. So obviously I'm going to keep the gaps these microscopic gaps, which are already hardly possible. And then I could put some spam like this, but it can't be too difficult because it needs to be humanly possible, but just about. Now a good way to test if your level is possible is to turn off ignore damage, and then on a new layer, which will be layer 5, you can just put a big D block. So layer 5, there we go. And then I can just see how tight I can make these gaps. So this is possible right now, but look, if I close off the gap too much, it just becomes impossible. So I can figure this out now. Okay, I think I'm just going to move this down until I can't do it in, the D block mode anymore. So that is possible, and I think I can even make it tighter. Still possible. That is still possible, but I think that could be... No, actually, no. One more. Why not? No, that is impossible. Okay. Although, is it just a D-block issue? No, actually, that is literally impossible. Yeah, that's the tightest, possibly it could be. Now, I don't want to make this click pattern too regular, so I'm going to add in a bunch of, irregularities everywhere. So it's not just going to be straight spam, which, although still extremely difficult, is not the human limit. So here we go, I'm coming up near the end, which is definitely not good. So I'm going to try and squeeze in as much as I can here. So I'm going to scale these down, and then move them down, and then that and that keeps the gap just as tight, and then that allows me to create more spam. I'm not sure if spam like this is humanly possible, so it's just going to be a micro click that I'll throw in throughout the level. Right, I'm thinking another one of these where you go a bit higher up, but that will expend a lot of our time there. So I'm gonna have to end it quite spectacularly with like 2 of these micro clicks here. To add insult to injury, I'll just flip it upside down, because you always, want to get those extra clicks in. And that is literally the very end of what I can do. And it appears I've run into a bug here. Is that a bug, or do I just need to put more D blocks? Let's see. So honestly, I've actually made quite a good little bit of gameplay here. Like, it extends out and it's got a lot of clicks, enough to be serviceable as a level. And it does seem here that something has gone awry. So I'm just going to open up this gap the tiniest bit. I don't know what it is though. What is causing this mysterious death? Is there just like an inaccuracy with this or something? It's definitely the second wave. Maybe this just needs to be moved out one. Still doesn't fix it. Let's turn on hitboxes. And let's also just make these stupid D blocks invisible so they're not getting in the way all the time. I don't know, is this just too tight to be like physically possible? Is it just bugged out with how tight it is? Is it the top slope that's causing the issue? That's fixed it, but there's another issue here. Oh, it could just be the issue of like going through the D block. So I just assume that this timing is too difficult. Something about scaling it down has just made it impossible. So I'm just going to move these all very slightly down to give the player a bit more breathing room. And that has fixed it. That is now entirely possible. So firstly, let's just make all these slopes completely invisible. Put them on 1, there we go. Oh wait, I don't have my triggers set up, so I just put it on hide, there we go. And now you can see we've got these lovely tight gaps and they're all invisible right now. So I could leave it like this, and this would technically be top 1, but it's way less fun without decoration, so I'm going to start decorating. Now, obviously it's top 1, so we're going to make a generic hell level. So let's firstly make it very dark. Let's add the classic hell background, this one. Perfect. And then we can just add this same color to the ground, just maybe a bit lighter and a bit more saturated, and copy and paste that along. And use, I don't know, just like a scary ground, and there aren't many of them. Maybe this one's scary enough. Nope, not really. You know what? Just make the ground like this random one here. It looks nice. There we go. Okay, and then I can make ground 2 a bit darker as well to give that some nice definition. The line, you can just make that invisible by putting it on black blending. Although, actually, turning off blending, having just a solid red line, it'd look pretty cool, I think. Now let's begin making just some generic hell designs. So we're going to go to layer 1 here, and we're going to select this, like, I don't know, slope object here. Or we could probably use a more interesting slope than this, I hope. You know what, this one's a pretty interesting slope. I like this design quite a lot. And that fits perfectly in, okay. So I'm going to put it on color 2, and this color will just copy the ground. Perfect. And then I can put these slopes underneath it, and I can give them the same color, but just lower layers and a lot darker. There we go. That's looking pretty good. So if I turn off now, show hitboxes, you can see we've actually got a pretty neat design there. But obviously no design is finished without glow. So I'm going to go to this tab here, and then I can select one of these, probably this one. That's, the best one personally I find to use. And then we can put this T2 actually, and put it on a new color. And this color will be red blending. So obviously right now, this is way too red. It looks like goofy. So I am going to just try and get to a point where I can play this. And let's see. You know what? Looking red, actually, that's pretty cool. Maybe we can go with something like Grief, where the last part just lights up with this glow. But I will make it darker and then less saturated. And then I can turn down the saturation quite a lot, actually. And then I can copy paste it, make it bigger. And then this one can be the saturated one, just low brightness, high saturation like that. There, that's pretty cool. And honestly, I think we should darken everything. So this darker, this black, the background should be black. So then that just sticks out. Wow, that looks like striking, yeah. And the line can also just be barely comprehensible. There we go. So yeah, that actually ended up looking really cool. You know, just like this spike just jutting out there, I think it's a really nice detail. Turn this down maybe. You know what? All the way red. We're going all the way red. Yeah, that looks really nice. Yep, that's fixed it, and now we've got like our dark block design. So honestly, this can just be the end. I can take this and I can copy and paste it down. Turn back on the hitboxes so I know where to place these things. And for the ones that are like where the player is meant to go, you know, at the tips of the slope, I can just use this design with the glow on the end. And I think that will make for a really striking effect. And for these designs here, I can make like a half design. So I can just scale it all the way down until it perfectly fits. And also I'm going to make all the deco on layer 1 completely no touched so the player can't collide with it in case there are any just tiny inaccuracies. And also I've noticed here that I think there is just about enough room for us to extend this the tiniest bit. Yes, look at that. Okay, I think we now know where the end is, so I can just get rid of this wall of objects. We know that like the edge of this block here is the very end. Now finally, as we've got all of these like, you know, bright slopes in, I can put in all of the dark design. Okay, that's them in for the top side, and now I can just do the same on the bottom side. The good thing about making a 1 second long level is despite this being the fastest speed, it is barely taking any time to decorate. Like, that's already all of the block design in. But as you can see, something looks very off about the block design right now. Like, it just kind of jaggedly stops right here. So to fix that, I can add in the slope tab these little connector things. So these basically just go underneath the slopes and fill in the space. So I can copy the exact values for this, and then I can paste that in, and it looks perfect. Also, this is like so duplicated that it's pretty, you know, like unstriking. Like these are a lot more striking because it like sticks out right in the dark. But these just look a bit boring. So I can put this on color channel 4, which will be the red, but it will just be a lot more dark. So then it stands out much less. And actually, I think this should all be on number 4, to be honest. That looks a world better. Wow, yeah. Although it does look quite dark. And also there's another bug, which I realise now is because everything on layer 1 is not on no touch. So I need to select everything and put it on no touch, which should hopefully fix the bug. There we go, perfect. Okay, now I need to work on finishing adding these little connector things in, and then we can get to work on actually putting in some unique designs into the level. Because I think just having like this boring structure thing here would not make for a great level in my opinion. Okay, that's all of them on the top side. Now I can add them in on the bottom side. And also for these like awkward gaps where this thing is here, there is actually something unique I could do. So I realise now that I've been placing these on the entirely wrong layer, but that is a pretty simple fix. Just need to select them and then put that on layer 1. But what I should do here is I should go to the cube tab, and there will be these blocks that kind of match up with the tile set. So if I just copy this in, yeah, there we go, that fits perfectly. And also, that actually makes this look like a mini spike. Then I suppose up here, I'm just going to have to put a ton of these blocks. Also, to match these slopes, I'll scale this down as well. There we go, that's all in, and this is looking pretty neat so far. But I think it's finally time to actually add some like interesting factors to it. So firstly, I'm sure I could make some of these structures like a club step monster. Like this structure here, if I add some cool glowing eyes, it'd make a perfect club step monster. I'm contemplating whether to just like use these objects to make the creepiest club step. Oh my god, that's actually really funny. Look at this. Oh my god, that's like eerie. I can just copy and paste this here, and that is absolutely golden. Even better, I can copy and paste it, stretch it down a bit for the pupil, then saturate it more and make it darker. Actually no, I honestly look better having the weird thin eyes. But I can copy and paste this like this, make it like wide staring eyes. That's cool, that looks really good actually. And then I'm sure I could add some sort of glow thing to really highlight this monster. So I can snap them, if I just move it correctly, to the slope. I think this will work. I've not really used snap much. Oh my gosh, that really does work. It almost works. And then I can just copy and paste it down here, and it'll go off the side. Okay, let's put this on like T2, and then I can give it a color of 4, or maybe even 3, so it stands out a lot. And just like lower the saturation and brightness, there we go. And then I can just copy and paste this along. Shrink this down to use here. And that honestly looks super cool. Look at that. Really helps it stand out. I'm going to add all these extra details onto a new layer like this, so then it just doesn't get mixed up with the regular deco. There we go, that looks sick. And now I can also make this like close in on the player as they get closer. So although it looks bad here, like in the context of the level and in motion, it looks really good. So let me just go to layer 2, and then I can select all of the top half here, move it up by 1 block, and give it a group 2. Now group 2, there'll be a move trigger here. And this move trigger, we set to 2, and it'll move it down by a block in like, 0.5 seconds on a bounce out, so it kind of like closes its jaws on the player. Oh, that looks really bad, to be honest. I think it should move less. Honestly, I think that takes too long, so if I just set this to a 0.7 and then move it further across, that's the perfect one, I think. Yeah, that's really good. And then I can do the same thing for the bottom, except moving upwards. Okay, that's perfect, but this should probably be moved along, so there's like some delay, because that will look, that looks pretty sick. I also think this should pulsate like into existence as the player gets closer. So originally it's going to be just completely invisible, but then as the player nears it, it will begin like flashing in and out of existence here. That's really cool, look at that. But this probably could just be like stopped here. Oh wait, I realised now, does it stay on? Yeah, that's not good. That's really good, that looks sick, oh my gosh. Yeah, the flashing really helps it. And I could probably add like another one of these earlier on. And what's helpful about having it on layer 2 is that I can just completely copy and paste this and just regroup it all. And I think it works there too, yeah, that's good. Although it takes away from the intensity of that one monster, I'd have to say. So maybe this can be a slightly different design here. Firstly, I'm going to flip this round here so that the beams are actually facing the correct way. And then I can just give it like different eyes, you know. Okay, finally I'm going to shrink these. So then hopefully that will give it enough like differentiation between the last one that it won't look, you know, exactly copy and pasted. That's great. And also I think here, what there should be is some glow in the eyes to give it some like ambient lighting. So I can make this like firstly really small, but then lower, so less saturation, but make it brighter like this. So I can put this on probably T2, so it's above it, and then I can give it group number 3 like this. Scale it up, move that down, make it a bit more saturated. That's looking good, okay. And then before I actually copy and paste it, I'll make a bigger version here. There we go. And this one, lower the brightness and make it far more saturated like this. That looks awesome. Oh my gosh. Also, these like sparkles here, I forget that this actually needs to be on the group with the eyes. So I assume that'd just be like 3 or something. I don't know. What would that be? So next, there needs to be something here probably, because this part looks a bit bland. So I could probably add some of those slight details. I'm a bit of a loss of ideas. But I think having like a wall behind it, it'd be like looking good, I guess. It's a bit kind of ugly looking wall with these. But actually, if I just like unstretch it again, make it a bit thinner, and then copy and paste it up, it honestly shouldn't look that bad. Actually looks pretty good. Although I think if I'm going to make it desaturated, I should just fully commit and make it grey. So let's move this away and just fully commit. Honestly, that actually doesn't look much better. So I'm just going to make it a bit red. And then hopefully the red glow will make it a bit more red as well. Yeah, that's good enough to be honest. And then move it up some and copy and paste it down. Now, anywhere where there's a spot that there isn't a monster, this can go. So like here. Actually, you know what? I'm going to leave the monsters there on their own. But I will put it here to like highlight the monsters. Honestly, this is actually turning out really well. So next, I think I can add like one of those like pentagon things. Like the devil cult pentagon things. Because it's a hell level and like every one of them has these. So I can just build a circle pretty easily. Just by doing this. There, that's already functioning enough as a circle. And then I got to build like a pentagram star. So what I can actually do, little trick here, I can take one of these in-game star objects, scale it up, and then I can use that as like the base of my star. So let's go back to these. I can use a different object as well so it doesn't like clash. Put it on no touch. Now I can rotate and stretch it. I should probably leave and go back because whenever you stretch one of these, it breaks quite a lot sometimes. So you just got to be very careful with how you do it. So I can take this, scale it up. I've got like the pentagon thing, I don't know. So I can take this symbol, can scale it up a bit and move it right into the center. And then I think that's meant to be a second circle around this all. So I can copy and paste this, scale this up. And there we go, that looks good, oh my gosh. So I don't know if it's meant to be rotated or something. I swear that it wasn't just like a star, so it was like an upside down star like that. Yeah, I'll just leave it as that to be honest. And this can go down here, like right here, and it can like rotate and be, you know, dark and gloomy and all that. Also, from this point on, there's probably going to be a tiny little epilepsy warning. It won't be much, but if you're like really triggered by flashing lights, then I would definitely avert your eyes for whenever I'm about to playtest it. Okay, then I can just copy and paste this along like this. And I think it does flash a bit too in sync with like the monster. And yeah, it does. So I'm going to try and get it out of sync as much as I can. So that doesn't take its attention away from the monsters, you know? And now that you've passed it, I can just make it fade out again. Like this. It stays on for too long. Maybe there should be gaps in its pulsing. That looks good. And then finally, I can make it move like these guys. So if I just give it a bounce out, that like makes it move around enough that it'll look unique, so. It should be like falling down onto the player as well. I think that would make for a pretty cool effect. Oh, I forgot, I also need to make it invisible over here, don't I? Okay, that looks really good actually. So now when it's, you know, visible, I can add one of these glows to it so that it like gives it the tiniest bit of like light over it. Yep, that's good. Put it on 9 and then that looks really good. But I think the glow's too strong. It like kind of takes away from the like more subtle details in this part. So I can just leave this all and then I can take this and this should honestly be a lot darker. Like I'm talking, you know, this low so it doesn't take away from some of the other really cool effects I made. So put that on 16 and the outer ring could go on 10, maybe 14, and then finally make this a lot darker as well. It's really hard to see now, that's the problem. So once again, I might need to lighten things up. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to select this all, and instead of putting it on 4, I'm just going to put it on 5, which will be red blending, just a bit darker though, so I can control it entirely from this menu instead of having to alter the individual like HSV every time. I also think this colour should be a lot less saturated, so kind of move it down and round a bit. I'm going to play it in normal mode, see how this looks. These things look really silly, these like bricks. So I'm probably going to lower its opacity even more. Like 0.2, just so it's barely there. That's too low actually. Then I'm going to make these like portal things here invisible. Because I don't know, they just look too bright for the level. So yep, just going to hide them. Honestly, I think I could put another one of these brick structures. Having them on a really low opacity actually makes them look pretty good. Okay, I'm going to make the pentagon thing a bit brighter. Just so it's actually visible. Then here, I think this final like beat part here is just so intense that it really needs an effect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to painstakingly trace out each one of these things and then make it flash as you go through it. There, I've got the designs in. That's looking pretty sick right now. So I can select these all and put this on a new layer as well because it's a new effect. Give it a group and then probably just like copy and paste these triggers over, if I'm going to be honest. But that looks pretty good. Not the effect that I really wanted to have though. So I'm just going to do some altering of the colors, I think. Now, for this really abstract song, I'm going to attempt to do some background pulses, but I'm not sure how well they'll turn out. So I'm going to pulse the BG just a bit higher. Let's just see how this is first. There's like another big beat here, so I can go boom, boom. Then finally, for this like intense final spam, it can happen, and I'm sorry for the people who are epileptic. I have already given you an epileptic warning. But actually, you know what? I'm not going to make this flashing too bad. There's just going to be a couple flashes here. And I'm actually going to make the fade out time just a bit longer, like 0.3. And honestly, I think that's the part done. I'm actually really proud of how it's turned out. Anyway, with that being said, let's run the showcase.